Corporate share structure. People have a lot of misconceptions in terms of their corporate share structure, and they also don't appreciate how important they are to set up the first time and do it correctly the first time. What are some of the things that come up with their corporate share structure is like tax planning. There's a lot of reasons why you would have corporate shares with different classes of shares in terms of allocating dividends or money to different types of shareholders. Maybe you're trying to income split with a spouse. Maybe you have different kind of investment partners who might not have a right to make decisions in the company but are entitled to part of the money. So in terms of share structure, we usually set up a whole bunch of shares, and then as time goes on, you can change them. We will always prefer to work with your accountant to make sure that we're addressing your tax needs, because you just don't know. Everyone's situation is a little different, and the accountants are the ones who really drive that tax planning. So what kind of different shares are we looking at? There are common shares. It'll be the first one and the regular one that everyone thinks about, where the person has a share in the company, and it's just kind of like the average kind of share. You can have voting common shares, or you can also have non-voting common shares. A non-voting share would be for like that silent partner in a business or investor in a business where they don't have a say in terms of day-to-day management or decision-making on the corporation itself. Next, you can also have preferred shares. And a preferred share often gives you a little bonus. It has more rights than a common shareholder has. You have rights for dividends, you have rights for extra voting in terms of certain things, and so you want to make sure you have those set up. Now, typically, when we're just doing random shares structures, we're going to have common shares, we're going to have preferred shares, we're going to have voting, we're going to have non-voting. We might have classes A, B, C, and D, because you can have more than one common share, even non-voting common share, or voting common share. You can have Class A voting common share, Class B voting common share. And having the different classes allows you to issue dividends and whatnot differently because they're a different class of share. That might mean maybe not everybody gets the same as everybody else. You do have to be careful because there are repression remedies and things if you're really taking advantage of one of your shareholders, but that's why you want to make sure you sit down with the lawyer and make sure that it's all determined in advance. What you need, understand as a company owner what your rights and your obligations are in terms of your shareholders. That's really, do that right from the start so you don't have problems. And people often ask, well, how many shares do I need? Sometimes people have 10 shares, 1 share, 100 shares, 1,000 shares. Quite frankly, it doesn't really matter. In terms of your share structure, you could have 1,000,000 shares or 10,000 shares. The only real reason you would want more is for ease of distributing more shares. If you have one shareholder, one class of share, you could have 1 share. Or you could have 1,000,000 shares. It makes no difference. They own them all. But if you have 12 shareholders and you have only 10 shares, it's going to be harder to split them up between 12 people. So you might want to opt for 100 shares or 1,000 shares, and it just makes that percentage easier for distribution. If you have questions, make sure you reach out to your lawyer. Make sure you understand the basics before you get started. They're there to help, to make sure that you can focus on growing your business and not dealing with the tax and the lawyer part of the structure of the business itself.